Hey everybody, today I'm going to be showing you how to create the LENA wall hanging from Poppy Seed Creative. One of the easiest ways you could probably hang this is getting a clothes hanger, putting it over a door handle, and then tying your piece of wood to that clothes hanger. To do this, it's super simple. You're going to get the excess bit of rope that you have and just make a really simple knot, pulling down and then doing the same thing and making sure that these two are even. From there, flip them upside down and then put in your piece of wood like that. Then to hold that in place while you're working, you're gonna wanna put 1.5 meter pieces on the inside of the rope and then your 2.5 meter pieces on the outside of the rope. That way when they're knotted in place, this won't shuffle around. So I've already done one side, but I'll show you how to start it from the beginning on the other side. So in your kit, you're going to receive 6 pieces of 1.5 meter rope. You're also going to receive 10 pieces of 2.5 meter rope. So the 1.5 is for the middle section, 2.5 is for the outer section. So when you get your kit, the first thing you're going to want to do is put all this rope onto your piece of dowel using a lark's head knot. Now to do that, it's super simple. You get your piece of rope, make sure the ends are even, pull to the very center, and then to do a lark's head knot, there's 2 ways of doing this. You can either put that loop over there and then pull that rope through that loop, and just like that, that's a lark's head knot. However, if you're coming from the end, what you can do, 2 fingers inside the loop, grab those middle pieces and pull it over, and then you can just slide it onto the very end. So there's 2 ways of doing that. Now the first knot we'll be doing is this line design that runs through the entire project. So what you're going to do is take the 3rd one in from the left, and that's going to be the center knot. Then you're going to take this 2nd piece and wrap it around that section and then pull that tightly. That's the start of the knot, and you always go around twice. So again, wrapping it around that section, and you don't want to just leave it like that. You do want to pull it quite tightly so it makes a nice little knot there. So then you grab this side and do the exact same thing, pull it through that section nice and tight, not too tight though that it forms a straight line along the top. You do want to hold that center piece in the direction you want the line to go. So in this case, we'll be going out at a downwards V. And then again, wrapping that through. And then leave that section there. The way this pattern works is you need to do both sides out, both sides in, both sides out. You can't do one line all the way down. So now we're going to do the other side. So grabbing that piece of rope, 3rd in from the right, that's going to be our inner line. So then we grab 2nd piece in from the right, put that line piece over the front, and then again wrapping that piece over the line, holding the line piece out at the angle that we want the design to be, and then pulling that through. And again, you always do that twice. So pulling that through there. And then again, the same thing with this outer piece, pulling it through that loop we've created, and again. Now the next thing we're going to do is do this cross in the middle here. So to do that, we're doing the exact same knot we did. So again, holding the center rope at the direction you want it to go, the outermost rope, and you're going to wrap it around the center piece, pull it once, and again, we always do things in 2s, and wrap that around like that. Then, doing the same thing with the next outer bit of rope, wrapping it around the centerpiece, pull once, and then around the centerpiece, pull twice. So what we do to one side, we always do to the other. Again, holding the rope in the direction you want it to go, wrap it around that centerpiece and twice. If you find that the knot is sticking out a little bit, you can twist the cotton round and push that knot upwards just a little bit so it's hidden at the back. And then again, next outermost piece, wrap it around once, wrap it around twice, and there's the start of our circle. Now what you're going to do for this bit, you've got two center pieces and we want to join them. So what you're going to do, put the right piece over the left like that, so you're making the cross. Then we're going to take the left piece here and we're going to wrap it around the right piece. Pulling once, and that starts that knot there, and then pulling twice, and that joins them, and then we have our first little section here of the design. From there, you just fill in the rest of this area in the exact same way we did this first section. Now to start that off, it's exact same thing, center knot, holding the direction we want it to go, and wrap it around twice with both pieces of rope. Again, try not to pull too far up because you don't want the design to go up like this. So if that happens, just loosen the rope a little bit. Make sure that center rope is going in the direction you want it to be in. When that's nice and even, wrap the rope around, pull nice and tightly. Make sure you are grabbing the center rope, which is 3 down. And you can see that that's the one that's coming through this design here. You don't want to grab one that's too low and then wrap that around as the center rope, otherwise the design isn't going to be right. So again, grabbing the center rope, closest one to the right, pulling it through, and around again. Then the next one, again making sure that that center rope is in the direction you want it. You can lift or lower it as needed. And then the same thing, once you've reached this point, you're going to turn the center rope in the direction, pulling once, pulling twice, and then the next bit of rope. Make sure as well, these center bits can often get twisted in the middle, so make sure you are grabbing the one that's the correct side. Now just continue this pattern until you've created 5 of these little designs. So something I forgot to mention before, you want to make sure that these 2 middle sections are about 10 centimeters apart. So once you finish these 2 sections, the next thing we're going to do is combine both of them using square knots. So what you're going to do is take the 2 inner pieces on this piece and the 2 inner pieces on this piece, and we're going to do a square knot and combine these. So to do a square knot, the 2 center pieces go together, that's the inside, and then you've got these 2 outer pieces. So to do a square knot, we're going to put the right behind middle, left behind right, left through that hole that we created on that side, and then in this case, we're going to pull all the way up, and that's going to join them. At this point, make sure you're holding these 2 sections as well, because we don't want the knot to slip. And then the same thing, but backwards, left behind middle, right behind left, through that hole that we created, and then pull up. Now at this point, you're going to take those 2 middle pieces and just give them a little bit of a tug to make sure that knot is nice and center. From here, we're going to do the exact same thing using those same 4 pieces. Just make sure you are using those same 4 pieces and they don't get mixed up with all these other pieces of rope. So again, right behind middle, left behind right, left through that loop that we created, and then pull it nice and tight there. You want to make sure this surface at the front is flat. And then the same thing but backwards, left behind middle, right behind left, through that loop that we created, and then pull nice and tight. And that is the start of our centerpiece. Again, just give those center ones a little bit of a tug. They don't have to be pulled like super tight, it's just to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. Now, just with this design especially, The fourth piece in on the right can look a little bit odd, just sticking out at the front here, especially if we're creating a knot, a square knot here. It can just stick out a little bit too much. I like to put that knot behind and actually swap the fifth and fourth pieces of rope from the right, and then I make this the next four that I'm going to do that square knot with. So again, normal square knot that consists of those two horizontal lines, right behind middle, left behind right, left through that hole we created, pulling nice and tight. Remember to hold those two center pieces as well, and then the same thing but backwards, left behind middle, right behind left, pull through that loop, and then pull up. And then doing the same thing on the other side, doing the same thing I said as well, swapping the fourth and fifth piece just so it sits a little bit more flat, right behind left, left behind right. So we're going to end up having 2 square knots here, 3 going across, then 2, then 1. So we're going to create a little square knot triangle. So now we need to do 2 more square knots here. So we're going to disregard the 2 furthest from the left, and we're going to take the next 4 in. And then again, just another square knot. And then same thing on the other side, disregarding the 2 furthest to the right, the next 4 in, that's what we'll be doing our square knot with. And then 1 more square knot to finish it off. We're going to take the very 4 center pieces, so 2 from each of these last square knots that we did. And then again, 1 more square knot to finish off the center piece of this design. So now it's time to do this outer section. Just make sure all your pieces of rope are nice and flat. Now what we're going to do is the same design for the outer bits, but they're going to be a little bit larger so we can fit 4 square knots into each of those sections. So again, the very 2 center pieces of rope, these are going to be your center pieces that'll create that design. So we're going to start with the left, and we're just going to create that top V that we did before. So again, holding that center rope in the direction that you want it to be in. So again, make sure you're holding that center rope in the direction that you want your design to be in, and you're pulling not too tightly because you don't want it to sit up flat, but you don't want it to sit straight down either. If you find that while you're doing this, the other side of your project is bouncing everywhere, what you can actually do is take, so if I'm working on one side and this side is bouncing, you can actually take that other side and either sit on the ends of the rope or just wrap it around your knee. That way when you're working, it's nice and secure. Now once you've created that upside down V, we're going to take the very center 4 pieces of rope and do a square knot. Again, making sure to just give those little center pieces a tug afterwards. You don't want to make the center pieces bunched up above your square knot, otherwise you might run out of rope in the long run. Now once you've done 1 square knot, we need to do another 2 either side. So in that case, we're taking 2 pieces of rope from that first square knot we did, and the 2 other pieces from the side. We're never going to be using the center piece for our square knots. Now we've got 1 on the left and 1 on the right. We're just going to do 1 more down the bottom. So in this case, we'll be taking 4 pieces, 2 from each of the square knots we just did. Now once that final square knot is done, then you can close that section. So again, pointing the center rope in the direction you want it to be, and just closing off that section. Once you've closed off that first section, then we're just going to repeat this pattern. So it's always open section, square knots, closed section. You're going to want to do 5 more of this pattern all the way down. So go ahead and fill in the rest of that section. So now that you've got that section filled in, we're going to be joining these 2 together. The way to do this next section is we're going to recreate another one of these designs combining these 2 pieces. So for that, we're going to take the right center bit of string, and that's going to be our center. From there, we're going to take the left center and wrap it around our right center, like that. And then we're going to do it again. And that's going to be the start of that combination. From there, flatten it out a little bit and make sure everything is nice and even. From here, we're going to take the very top piece from this right section, and we're going to bring it through where it would naturally fall at the back, through to the front, and we're going to use that for the next section of this line. The reason I do this is so that these 2 don't wobble in place. from there you can use the next piece coming off here. So again, wrapping it around twice, and then one more piece. So you should have 2 pieces left on the very left. Now for this section, make sure the piece that you're grabbing is from the centerpiece of the left section. So make sure it is the centerpiece that you're grabbing, not one that's too high or too low, otherwise the whole design will be. And again, stopping when you have 2 pieces on either side. Now what you're going to do is take a piece from the back. It really doesn't matter which piece from which section, as long as it falls naturally in the same space, roughly where we're going to put it anyway. So taking one from the back, and we're just going to fill in that line. And then taking another one from the back, let's use this one. The reason that we're doing this is to leave 2 either side, because it can look a bit strange once we've got the fringe if there's just one hanging closest. So from here, we're just going to fill in the square knots. And then once those square knots are done, we're going to close off this section. Once that section is closed off, we're going to do one more little bit at the bottom. It's going to be one of these designs just here. Now, once that is closed off, make sure that everything is sitting nice and neatly, and we are almost done. So now our design is done, it's time to start with the fringe. So we're actually going to be cutting off all of this excess material, and then where we cut it onwards, that's what we're going to use as our fringe. So a way to tell where to cut it is going to be from the very top of your project, where the dowel is, to the bottom of this line here. So one finger there, one finger there. From there, go to the bottom of your project, down, right there, that's where we're going to be cutting the fringe. So grab a pair of scissors and you can just cut it straight off. Make sure you're holding that fringe while you cut it as well, because it'll make what we're about to do a whole lot easier. Now from here, there's going to be these real short bits. We don't need any of those. So hold it about halfway and then just let all of those bits come out. From here, you're going to have some that are super short and some that are super long. Now we're going to figure out how long to cut the rest of it. So what I like to do for this is hold the 2 sections that we've just cut next to each other like that, holding it up about this length where we're going to put the first bit of fringe in. Where that falls evenly next to that bit of fringe, that's where we're going to cut it. Get rid of all the shorter pieces again, we don't need those. Now we're going to be threading the fringe through this bottom section on either side. To do that, we're going to be using the Lark's head knot that we used at the top. Pick up the middle, twist it slightly the way the string naturally goes. It just makes it a bit more sturdy when you're pushing it through. We're going to push it through this bottom hole here, like that. Now, if your ends are even, this is actually where I like to make them uneven. You'll see why in a second. From there, pulling it through like that. That is the start of our fringe. Now we're going to do that all the way up this side. So we're going to do 3 of these in each of these sections. So for the first 3 sections, you do 3 pieces of rope. For this top section here, you only need to do 2. But when you do 3, this starts to stick out a little bit more and it just doesn't flow as nicely. Now at this point, I am 1 piece short. You might be a few more pieces short, that's okay. This is when we go to that super long piece that we had before. So we're going to pull apart pieces that we don't need. Just checking the length of these ones. Yep, perfect. So I'm only 1 short, so I only need 1 more. But you can fill in more of the fringe if you'd like. If you have extra pieces left, you can do 4 in each of these sections. It's really up to you. What I like to do is the very top ones, I like to cut them a little bit shorter so it curves a little bit more. That one's okay, but this one here is a little bit long, just so it flows really nicely. Then these ones at the bottom are very straight compared to the sides here. So what I like to do is randomly go in through the back as well and just cut random pieces out. Just make it look a little bit more rugged. You also don't have to do this. If you want them to remain totally straight, that is fine. Once you're happy with how the ends look, then it's time to add the final piece, which is the hanger that goes on top. So what I like to do is tie a normal knot going once with a smaller bit going down, then tie that knot again the other way, and the small bit should be facing up. Then we're going to do the exact thing on the other side. Figure out roughly how long you want it to hang. Personally, I like to have like a pretty small hanger. So again, tying this side, making sure that that small bit goes down, double checking the hanger and how high you want it to be. Then make sure the small bit goes up like that and pull super tightly, and then cut off the excess. From there, carefully flip that rope over the other side so you won't be able to see the knots and they'll be at the back. And there is the finished piece. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Remember to tag me if you take any photos of your pieces hanging in their new homes. Thank you for watching, everybody, and happy knotting!